To ask the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs if she has any plans to expand the schools completion programme and if she will make a statement on the matter.
Thank you, Deputy. I'm very conscious that the school completion programme continues to deliver a valuable service for some of our most vulnerable young people, and currently the SCP receives annual funding of €24.7 million. My department works with the Education Welfare Service to ensure that necessary resources are available to support this program and to ensure staffing levels are sufficient to deliver a high-quality service for those young people most at risk of early school leaving. However, a number of long-term complex issues continue to exist in relation to both the governance and the staffing of the program. So in recognition of the need for a strong policy platform for the Education Welfare Services, including the SCP, I requested that my officials establish a task group to support the further development and integration of these services. The work of this group is near completion, and I'm eager to ensure that the output will result in a clear blueprint for the development of the 3 strands of the EWS, which includes the school completion program. A consultation event on the blueprint was held recently on June 10th. I was present for some of it myself, where those working with vulnerable young people as part of the EWS were able to express their views and help shape the policy blueprint prior to its publication. As part of the implementation of the actions contained in the blueprint, I have requested that a new SCP scheme be scoped out and developed to ensure that its reach, resources, and impact are maximized in supporting young people. And I'm also continuing to examine options in relation to the employment status of school completion program coordinators and project workers. In budget of 2019, I secured an additional $500,000 in funding for the EWS and the Alternative Education Assessment and Registration Service, and I'm going to continue to lead on advancing supports both in policy and provision in this very crucial area.
Deputy Mitchell.
Minister, I can't speak highly enough of the work being done by the school completions programme. Unfortunately, we saw under previous governments the cutting of resources for this very important programme. Now, its move to TUSLA seems to have led to many complaints from staff and teachers about how long it takes for the scheme and the activities to be approved. And I think with everything else TUSLA has on its plate, it's probably not the best body to be overseeing this. We also have a bit of a problem that it's mostly DEIS schools that can avail of the school completions programme, but now we see many students travelling to Gael schools and non-religious schools. So unfortunately this means that these students who would have been able to avail of the supports are no longer available because they're no longer attending a DEIS area. So Minister, I want to ask you, have you given any consideration to placing this programme back in the Department of Education?
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. First, 3 points you're making in terms of the incredible work of the school completion program and the coordinators, project workers, and all the other people that they bring in to help them work in the context of usually very difficult circumstances for children and families. I absolutely agree, and I've visited a number of them myself in my own constituency and outside of the constituency, so I cannot speak highly enough. And I also understand the challenges and the frustrations in terms of the program itself, and knowing that we do need reform and looking forward to that. May I say to in relation to TUSLA, they have a dedicated unit in the context of TUSLA, with national manager and others working on that are strictly related to this piece of work as distinct from the child protection and everything else. So, and that decision was made a long time ago in terms of bringing it from education into TUSLA, and they have a history of doing that. And one of the things that the blueprint is to do is to offer a way, I suppose, and some guidance, is particularly in terms of the school completion program and how it would be integrated with the other 2 streams that hasn't been done before, and that's why it needs to be done.
Thanks, Minister.
Final question.
For your reply. Minister, we see in the half-year Exchequer returns boasting of another year of record tax. So I would hope that we would see more investment and supports, particularly for our young people in this programme. I know you said that there was an allocation of over 24 million. Ideally, I would like to see a lot more than that, and I would hope you would be champion for that. Minister, we heard from coordinators who feel that the reduction in funding has resulted in more targeted intervention. But the problem they feel that with more targeted intervention is that it's causing a stigma amongst young people, where a more broader approach may be helpful. We've also had issues in around contracts of employment for pay and staff who work in the scheme, and I understand this has been raised by the trade union. So, Minister, can you outline if there's any progress being made in that issue? And I also want to ask you, talk about the new CSP scheme that you're looking at, and you've talked about the task force being set up. When will we see publication of the recommendations of them?
Okay, thank you. Just again, in relation to the first point, in terms of the coordinators and the project workers talking about targeted work versus universal supports and what's going on currently in the school completion program. First of all, at the consultation event, there were several school completion coordinators part of that, and also my department is in ongoing engagement with them, and one of them is represented in relation to the task force. So I hope that there's enough of a vehicle, a pathway for their engagement in terms of as we develop the blueprint for the school completion program. I can't emphasize enough. So, and listening to what it is, the concerns and the best way forward. The school completion program works in the schools, as you know, Deputy, with the homeschool community liaison program and the education welfare officers. But the school completion program has never actually had a well thought out policy base, not to mention legislative, but a well thought out policy base upon which they can do their work, and also how that relates to the work others that are going on in that context. And that's why that's so important. And we expect to have the blueprint published relatively soon, and then move forward with the scoping of the program itself, the blueprint.
Deputy Rabbit.